So guys, this video is being made very specifically for estate agents who are considering starting or trying to scale their own estate agency operation and are potentially interested in doing that with the support and backing of myself and obviously EXP UK as a framework. So if that's not you, if you don't meet that criteria, I'll save you some time. You can skip right on to the next video. But if that is you and you are looking to start your own estate agency business, then today's video hopefully is going to be of some insight and some value. Now, for me, there are many reasons why EXP should be at the forefront of an agent's mind if it is that they're considering going into business ownership. But whilst I could speak about this and wax lyrical all day, I'm going to try and keep this video relatively brief. So I want to get straight to the point and address the main focus of today's video. And that's going to be about ownership. And I'm going to do a bit of a deep dive into this and explain what I mean by that term in a few minutes. But before we get stuck into the main nooks and crannies of today's feature, I just wanted to quickly divert your attention to something that anecdotally I believe is massive and another main reason why an agent may want to consider coming into EXP. Now, it's going to sound quite wishy-washy when I say this, so get ready and brace yourself. But one of the reasons why you should consider starting with EXP is that we genuinely make it all about the agent. And for my money, we're the only outfit in the UK that truly embrace that and recognize what that means. Now, I can already kind of sense your eyes rolling into the back of your head because you're thinking, well, Ben, every outfit out there, every option, every umbrella, every hybrid agent says the same thing. It's all about the agent. We look after our people. And you're right, everybody does say that, but just look at the reality. Look at the agents who are working within every framework, EXP included, and look at how they promote themselves. Look at their social channels, look at the promotion of their business and how it all works in reality. We're the only company that really do put your name above the door. It's your name as the agent, as the business owner that's up in lights. It's even your face on the for sale board if you choose to do so. But essentially outside of that, you know, there's other little intricacies with the model. For example, we don't pigeonhole you into a certain market. There's no exclusive territories, which gives you complete freedom to build the business how you want. But ultimately, commercially, it means that as an organization, we don't need to come hunting for our pound of flesh. For example, if you've got, you know, your own umbrella company, let's just say that me and you are in business together and we've got 50 territories all over the country and we need 50 agents to come and take ownership of each of those one territories. As a business owner with our commercial hat on, we need to make sure that each of those territories is given a certain amount of revenue and therefore making a certain amount of profit in order to sustain our business and make it work and make it worthwhile and give it longevity and pay the bills, let alone make a profit. So for that reason, if people have got a set cluster of postcodes, there's an element of micromanagement. We need to make sure that certain targets and certain production levels and certain fees are being adhered to and hit to make sure that that business works and keeps moving forward. Whereas with EXP, because we don't put that kind of pressure on you or on ourselves, you've got the complete freedom to design the DNA of that business from start to finish. That means that you can choose the markets that you want to target without restriction. You can decide the clients that you onboard. You can decide the fees that you set, the terms that you offer. Everything about that company from the ground up is built in your mind's eye. And we don't need to crack a whip. We'll never ask you what you're forecasting for sales revenue in the following month. We'll never give you a KPI. We'll never give you a target. We'll never tell you what you must do and micromanage you. We're there to help and support when you need it, but there's a massive difference. And let me tell you, as a bit of a unicorn, in that I've run my own business kind of alone. I've been in the hybrid space. And of course, today I'm here at EXP. That is absolutely massive because that sense of being able to be an entrepreneur, that sense of connection, of ownership, of love almost with the operation and what you're doing, not feeling as though you're being looked at through a microscope and not feeling as though you're being dictated to and given targets and KPIs and asked questions and all that kind of stuff. It just makes running the business altogether more fun. And when you're deciding everything about that DNA of that business from the ground up, again, it gives you a real connection to the business that allows you to get that extra 5 or 10% on the days where maybe you're not feeling it. Sorry, my throat went a bit dodgy then. So first and foremost, that is one of the main reasons why I think EXP should be on your consideration list. But as I say, I want to drill into more facts and figures and numbers. And as I mentioned, ownership. So ownership, what exactly do I mean by that? Now, I'm seeing quite a few companies in this space, companies that maybe you're considering to be similar to EXP on the outside looking in, companies in the hybrid space in the UK market. I'm sure you all know who I'm alluding to. They're all talking about, well, have your own business, run your own little operation, but also help contribute towards a bigger movement, help grow a collective brand is the terminology that I'm hearing being used. But I'm sorry to say it, guys, but if you don't own that collective brand, if you've not got a vested interest and you're not going to see a financial return out of the growth of that shared brand, then ultimately you're not working to grow a shared brand. You're working to grow somebody else's legacy, somebody else's retirement, somebody else's business effectively. Now, you can still have your own little operation and earn commission on your small business in your market, however you've got that set up, and that's great. But don't be fooled. You're not an owner in the parent brand. You've got no vested interest in the performance of the overriding structure. So for me, that's a little bit misleading and it's not really the reality. Whereas EXP, the reality is with our model is that our agents are all co-shareholders and business owners in EXP World Holdings. So for example, not only have you got a huge slice of the small pie in your personal business that you're growing in your locality, but you've also got a small piece of a much larger pie in EXP World Holdings, which of course is publicly traded, and that's going to add to the portfolio value of your business in the background. So today I want to explain a little bit about how that works, how that's set up as the agent, how you're given and how you acquire ownership in that parent company, and exactly what that means to you financially, looking back in the past at a case study from when I started versus where the share price is today. I'm going to do this with complete transparency. I'm going to share the screen. I'm going to show you the share price as it is today, right now, this hour, this moment that I'm recording this video. And we're going to work some maths back based on the information as we find it today. Now, before we go into this, of course, when we're talking about stocks and shares, it goes without saying that share prices of every business goes up and it goes down. Sometimes you're winning, sometimes you're really winning, sometimes you're losing, sometimes you're really losing, and shades of everything in between. So, of course, I can make no claim or guarantee as to what your shares may or may not be worth in any specified period of time. I've not got that kind of skill, that ability, and that foresight, unfortunately. But what I can do is reflect back on the past, how the share price has evolved over the short period of time that I've been at EXP, and exactly, hypothetically, what that would mean to you if it was that you was trading back when I began in October 2019. So before we go into it, let's address the three different avenues or the three ways that as an agent, you've got to acquire ownership in EXP World Holdings completely passively. Now, the first route is going to be gifted stock. So we give you stock completely free of charge, just as part and parcel of doing your job. Now, as an agent who partners with us to grow their business, you're going to be gifted $200 worth of stocks and shares in EXP World Holdings whenever you complete on your first deal at the start of a new anniversary year. So let's just say, hypothetically, you start your business in January and you complete on your first sale in March. That means that in March, you'll be gifted $200, as well as, of course, your commission split from the sale that you've agreed on that particular property, but you'll be given $200 on top at no cost to yourself. Now, that happens every new anniversary year. So once it gets to January the following year, you're officially in year 2 of being a partner with EXP, in which case, as soon as you sell your next property, the following year, you'll be gifted $200 in stocks and shares again. And that continues every single year for the lifetime duration that you're an agent partnered with EXP, growing your business, which I think is pretty cool. And it's a pretty nice way of acquiring income and wealth without having to be proactive about going out and purchasing it yourself. The second way that you're going to acquire stocks and shares is if you bring any agents into the business. So let's just say you're growing your agency and an ex-colleague that you used to work with a few years ago reaches out, sees what you're doing, likes the kind of vibe that you're giving out on social media. They ask a few questions and then they join EXP as an agent in their market. Now, of course, you've got no responsibility for looking after that agent. You don't have to help them run the business. You don't have to be operational, do viewings, valuations, and close deals and all that kind of stuff. But when that agent goes ahead and they close their first deal and they hit a completion, not only is your friend happy because they've now got their own business and they're earning more money from that fee than ever before, but also because you brought that agent into the company, EXP will give you $400 in shares just because that agent's completed on their first deal. And that happens with every agent that you bring into the business. So if you bring I don't know, let's just say 10 agents into the business, that's potentially $4,000 worth of shares in EXP World Holdings that you're going to acquire completely free of charge at no financial cost to yourself, just as a thank you for bringing that agent in the first place. So it's a really cool and, to be honest, free as well as passive way of building ownership in the parent company whilst you're focusing on your business in your market. Now, the third way that you can acquire stocks and shares passively is by opting in to what we call an agent equity program. Now, this is opt in or opt out. There's no right or wrong answer. It's completely optional. Personally, I am opted in, and I've been opted in since day one when I joined. And what it essentially means is that whenever I complete on a sale in my market, I've allowed 5% of my income from that fee to go towards purchasing stocks and shares at a 10% discount to the open market value at that particular time. So every time I complete on a sale, not only am I being paid my revenue and my fee for that transaction there and then that goes straight into my business bank account, I'm also passively acquiring stocks and shares in EXP World Holdings. So those are the three ways that I'm building ownership in EXP as a global organization, whilst I'm focusing on my kind of individual independent mission, if you will, here on the Fylde Coast where I live. Now, for me, I don't get too worried about the share price. Sometimes it's really high, and as I mentioned, sometimes it can dip down. All I know is that that's building in the background. So at some point in the future, and that might be in 5 years, it might be in 10 years or 15 years, or maybe even more, who knows? I just know that that's building up nicely in the background. And at some point in the future, I will realize those shares. I will sell them on. And when I do that, that's going to be a nice little nest egg that's paid out for me that I can use as a retirement fund if I wanted to, or it's going to be a good chunk of cash, to spend time with the family and make memories and maybe buy a property or two or whatever. And for me, that's the most exciting thing, because the share price of the business is a bit of an unknown quantity, really. It's accelerated huge since I joined just 18 months ago. And I'm hoping that continues to build into the future. But of course, we can't make any claim to that. But all we can do is look at the current trend. And I've definitely got confidence in the senior team at a board level at the top of the tree, EXP, who are making these decisions around stocks and shares. So that's, briefly speaking, how it works. Those are the three ways that you can acquire ownership in EXP completely passively. And now I want to do a bit of a screen share to drill into some numbers. Now, I'm notoriously pretty rubbish at this, so hopefully I share this without too much drama and you can get a bit of an idea of where we're up to. So hopefully you can see that if I've done my job right. Okay, so this is EXPI share price. So EXPI is the code. It's on the New York Stock Exchange, on the NASDAQ. As you can see there on the screen, it's currently trading at $35.04 per share. Now, when I joined the business back in October 19, the share price at that point was $6 per share. Now, since then, between me starting and recording this video today, there's been what we call a share split. Now, I'm not a stocks and shares guy. I am an estate agent first and foremost. I deal with people and the sales process and valuations and videos and social media and all that kind of good stuff. That's what I'm involved in. I'm not really a shares dude, but it was explained to me that how a share split works is effectively the company doubles the amount of shares that are available, but halves the share price. So financially, it's kind of the same difference. If I'm going to be honest with you, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. But what it does do is create liquidity in the market. So there's more shares available so they can be readily distributed to anybody who's looking to acquire EXP stock as part of their portfolio. So that's why we did it. Now, the reason why I'm explaining that is because if it was $6 before the share split, that means that on an equal playing field today at the current share price you can see on your screen at $35, really the share price is $70 if we're going like for like. So hopefully that makes some sense. Now, I'm going to get the calculator up and we're going to run some numbers back. Okay, so I'm going to give you a hypothetical situation. Let me just grab my phone so I can make some notes as I go along. So I'm going to give you a hypothetical situation. And this hypothetical situation is that, let's imagine that you was in the business operational when I started in October 19. Now, let's say in October 2019, you completed on a sale, right? So you completed on your first deal. You had your first closing in that date. Now, that means that you would have got $200 in shares as a congratulations, I guess, for completing on that deal. Now, back then, the share price was $6 a share. So your $200 at that current share price would have got you 33.3 shares in the business. Let's just round that down to 33 shares. Now, at the moment, the average completion fee across our estate, all markets, all agents considered, is £3,300. Now, my fee, for example, is significantly more than that. My average fee is more than double that, actually, but I don't want to give a bias or give an unrealistic insight. I don't want to isolate one agent or one market in particular. I want to give you a very rough but hopefully accurate law of averages based on what we're seeing across 200 agents that we've got on the ground so far. So £3,300 is the average fee. Now, let's just say that you're a bang average agent, and that was the completion fee that you got in October 19. That means that if you was opted into the agent equity program, that means that 5% of that income would have gone towards purchasing shares on your behalf at a discount to the open market value. But let's just assume that you paid the full $6 per share. That would mean that £165 of your fee went towards acquiring shares on your behalf. Again, the share price was $6. So that would have got you 27.5 shares in the business. So we're just going to round that to 28 shares. Now, let's say also in that month, an agent that you'd previously introduced to the business went ahead and they also closed their first deal in October 2019. That would mean, of course, that you was gifted $400 of stocks and shares completely free of charge. Again, as we've established, the share price at that time was $6, which would mean that you get 66.66 shares in EXP World Holdings. So again, we'll round that to 67 shares. So if we reset the calculator, that means that you got 33 shares plus 28 shares plus the 67 shares that you got when an agent that you introduced closed their deal. So that would mean that you got 128 shares in the EXP World Holdings at that time in October 2019. Now, as we've said, looking back at the share price today, on a like-for-like basis, it's trading at $70 per share, which would mean that the market value today, as I'm recording this video, of the shares that you acquired in October 2019 would be $8,960. So I just want to take a moment and just kind of put that into perspective, guys, because those are shares that you would not have had to physically go out and purchase and acquire yourself. If you're a complete stock market virgin like I am, and you've not got a clue where to start when it comes to open market trading, the good news is that that would have all been taken care of on your behalf. We set you up with an account where you can track and monitor the share price. You can see your personal portfolio value. As that grows and as that evolves over time, the more agents you bring in, the more completions you do, the more sales that you drive in, and of course, the more stock you're acquiring if it is that you're opted into the agent equity program. So for me, that's absolutely huge because, as I mentioned before, selling property here and now is great. That's going to get you paid much quicker and probably much better in the short term because you're getting the vast majority of the fees that you're selling. But you need to be aware and have one eye on the future as to where things look long term. And if you're in this game building your business up with EXP or anyone else for that matter, whether you're completely on your own, or whether you're with another hybrid setup or a hub model or whatever it is that you're considering, you need to think, okay, well, 5 years down the line or a decade down the line, if that's how long you're going to be working at growing your business, what's the exit plan? What's the end game? What's the strategy? And however nice and wishy-washy and collaborative it might feel for companies to say, oh, we're growing a shared brand, the reality is that unless you've got ownership, unless you're sitting shoulder to shoulder with other shareholders in that business, it's really not your brand. And when you come to the end of the line, when you don't want to sell properties anymore, when that venture comes to an end or you want to try something new, you need to make sure that you've got an exit strategy. And if you don't own the business that you're working alongside, then you're renting your business. And that's the reality of the situation. And for me, that's just one very tangible, very interesting, and very quantifiable reason why there's just completely no competition in this space for other companies offering a similar structure to EXP in a UK market at this time. Now, guys, if you're interested in further discussing some of the intricate details about EXP, if you'd like to further discuss what we've covered in today's video or anything else for that matter about my business, my history, my story, about your future and your plans, and maybe how EXP can help you bring those into fruition, then please do drop me a message through any of the social media channels or by dropping me a text or giving me a call at your convenience. Alternatively, drop a comment on this video and I'll make sure that I reach out and we can line up our diaries. Guys, thank you for watching and I'll speak to you soon.